yesterday.
Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. As you can see, it's going to be an interesting day. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm a social recruiting trainer and speaker. Of course, we have another Katrina today, so this won't be confusing. I'm, of course, joined by my gorgeous co-host, Audra Knight, who is an employer branding genius, blood cat owning, not or could be cast wearing, purple hair loving, wonderful, bass playing mum extraordinaire. I can never get enough words in. Today, we are joined by KK. Maybe that's what we'll do, KK and KC, if we get around it. Katrina Kibben, copywriter at Randstad now, formerly from Recruiting Daily. Thank you for joining us.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, this is your second show, but I think it's been close to a year since you were on last.
Easily.
I guess. Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know you as well as we do, could you give them a little background to kind of what you did, before and what you're doing now at Randstad?
Absolutely. So my background is a little bit of marketing, a little bit of recruiting. I really jumped into the world of HR technology and I guess this space when I was at Visual CV, the first version. The Visual CV that you see today is not the same one that I worked at because we all lost our jobs and were let go in the .com bubble. And then I went to monster.com and that's where I met Matt Charney. And then I, did a little bit of weaving and ended up as a managing editor over at Recruiting Daily, which meant I spent a lot of time kind of researching and learning about other people's great work, which actually was a great platform to move into my current role where I'm a copywriter at Randstad SourceRight on the employer branding team. So if you have RPO with Randstad, basically you can have employer branding services as like an add-on. So I described it yesterday as like if you go to Chipotle and you get a burrito, you get guac is extra, we're the guacamole.
Okay, I got the last bit of that. I didn't get the first bit.
Chipotle. It's so good.
Yeah.
That's right. I've been teasing Ben down the side here and getting him to translate what up is. I can't do it in Yorkshire.
Good old Ben.
It would be so
So we take a really calculated and research-based approach to employer branding, which was, I think, why you and I started talking about doing this show is because so many people say employer branding is fluff, and I really just want to throw things at them because it's not fluff the way we do it. It's not the way we do it. Yeah. And being in just immersed in my team, I've learned so much about taking a very methodical approach. About 6 to 9 months, somewhere in that window.
Wow.
Yeah. But I've worked on incredible projects, like things I never, ever thought I would be doing.
I want to hear about some of those.
Yeah, fill us in while you have a drink.
And also, what kind of copywriting are we talking, like job descriptions or career site? I'd love to know what kind of stuff you do.
Everything. So I have one client right now. I can't name names, but know that they're Fortune 500 clients. Yeah. So I have one client who came to me and said, my job descriptions suck. Can you help me write an infrastructure and a training to teach my teams how to write better job descriptions?
Oh, that's cool.
So we were able to deliver that. We do EVP and brand pillars, like the core work of an employer brand team. We do all the research. We do over 50 hours of interviews. There's a lot of work, and then we kind of wrap it all into an actual story. And I think having people from the outside do that is really powerful, right? Because you have somebody who can go, that's bullshit. Mm-hmm. That's not right. Like, I know you think you're super collaborative, but you're not.
You're not. Yeah.
Like, we talked to 30 people.
That's where I get into the fluff thing, you see, because you say words like we build the story and blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, the story. Yeah, exactly. It's out of bullshit, you see. So, but actually you're calling bull on them.
Well, we do between 30 and 50 hours of interviews before we'll do anything for someone.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of context to call bullshit on the fluff when because inherently, if you're in an organization, I think it's really easy to get wrapped up in what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
a perception.
You, it might be that way, but maybe not for everyone else. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you start to talk about businesses with a lot of different business units with 12 to 15 different locations with different expertise and the company's trying to transform, how do you build that into one as an internal team? You have other work to do.
Yeah, good point. Now, do you research like online reviews as well? Is that part of your research, or do you not even consider that? Yeah.
Yeah. So something that we offer a lot of our clients is actually a candidate experience analysis, where we walk through what a job seeker would experience beginning to end and tell them where their pain points are, basically give them a score so they have something to go and work with.
So on the in-house recruitment event on Tuesday, so I spoke and then I was on a panel. So on the panel, I asked the room how many had applied for jobs at their company on a mobile phone, or a cell, as you guys would call it.
Yeah.
Like maybe 20. More had actually applied, but because they're done on the desktop, because that's natural for us. We all have the desktop sitting there, don't we? So I was like, oh my God.
I think we're at a tipping point.
Huh?
I believe we're at a tipping point for that. That this next generation, they're going to be the phone first.
Yeah.
Like, not to call us all old, but I think there's like a 10-year gap between us and the people who actually, like, they grew up with a phone in their hand. I didn't get a phone until I was 18.
I was even older.
Like,
yeah, I would like another 10 years older than that again. But to be fair, you know, they kind of came around in my 20s.
Yeah. You know what I mean, though? It's it's not inherent to us. Yeah. We didn't always have it in our pocket, in our hand.
Also, ATSs are just been so far behind. It hasn't even been something that we could do. Some of the ATSs.
So that's still an issue in the tech. You can't, unless you're in the document in the first place, you can't, then you can attach it, but the other way around, you can't. So there's still an issue, like attaching documents, isn't there, with the phone?
And do a lot of younger generations have their resume or CV on their phone? I think that maybe is starting.
Dropbox, probably.
Right. Exactly, Dropbox and Drive.
Right.
Because they don't trust the infrastructure of a...
You've got to go there and load it backwards. You can't pick it up from the other way. Am I making sense? Like if I'm in the middle of a text, I have to go to the doc and text it, sort of thing. Yeah. So what's Mr. Glassdoor?
Oh, good. I've heard it all. You can't throw any grenades in
what you do. EB can be so easy. It's untrue.
I do think that the trouble with employer branding is those kind of like working off of your own perceptions, thinking that you're right.
Yeah.
Not that I think every company is a good fit for, an RPO service or for an outsourced employer branding agency. I realize like that, financially or just you already have an in-house team, but at the same time, because we operate as experts, right? And we have to tell people like, we're the expert in employer branding. Like that's where Audra sits in her company. So to me, when you sit in that place, a lot of times it's hard to say, no, I just want to listen first. Like, let's not rush to the result. I'm not going to give you an EVP until I spend a lot of time figuring out the trends.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, if you talk to 30 different people, even if they sit in 30 different seats around the world, trends will appear.
But what do you do when you get that? I think, my issue with EB, and I think that's what Ben's getting at with the whole, it's actually quite easy, is I like employee-generated content. So I like what CA Technologies do and Dell are doing and Cisco, it's like genuine. So what do you do when you get the pushback, though? So you go, actually, this is what we've discovered you like. Here's the facts, the data. And then they go, no, we want polished PR bull. So how do you...
Well, then
that's my issue with EB. I just think it's polished PR bullshit, you see. I'm a healthy...
So in that scenario, I would recommend that we start with a current state and set an aspirational state.
Right.
Okay, what do we do? Okay, if your aspiration is collaboration, what do we do on both a structural and like intellectual level to create space for collaboration? Because like, for example, one of my clients, that's one of their very aspirational pieces. Yeah. And so with them, I'm like, okay, well, your team's not collaborative because you don't allow them to take risk. We figured out through the interviews, there's no risk. No one's willing to collaborate because they're not willing to let someone else take them down.
Wow. So you have to work on that.
That's what you get when you sit and you just listen.
Can I ask something? Are they older employees?
It's a very old company.
With older employees then?
A very legacy company, over 100 years old. Very big, very like slow moving kind of company.
I couldn't work in that company. It'd kill me. Oh my God, it's like gone off down the side here. What's going on over here? Wow, this is awesome.
I'm not sure what Tom is saying. He's saying 99.9% of the time, people don't behave like job seekers, but still may be activated as potential hires.
Yeah.
Are you talking about more passive?
I think if a recruiter gets in touch with them or they see the right piece of content from an employer that's interesting and hooks them in,
everyone's got a price, right?
I think that's what hung means. Hung right more.
Yeah.
Well, no, I look at what Ashley wrote, though. It's a millennial here. I'm sorry, but we don't have millennials here. We have young people and older people. There are no millennials. I tried to apply for a position on my phone. It was a pain. Gave up and waited until I was in front of my desktop. Whoa, where'd it go? Too many people writing stuff.
But what's interesting about that is that she didn't give up.
I bet it wasn't. Huh?
Well, it's interesting to me, though, is that she didn't give up. I bet a lot of people would have said, screw it, and not actually gone to their desktop and even applied. Not everyone, but I mean, how many?
How many of the employer branding people on here have even looked at your mobile bounce rates?
Yeah, exactly.
For your career site. Does your ATS even give you that number?
No.
That
Google Analytics might.
Well, I had a client.
Google Analytics definitely
I had a client switch ATS, not by choice. She was forced into it due to the other HR finance capabilities of it.
I know which one.
I'm sitting on the iPad out in their reception going, but I can't apply for this job. It was putting me on a loop, and they worked out, because it had come from a LinkedIn job advert, that it was 99 people had tried, but only about 20 got through because they just gave up because they were doing this loop and said, "I'll bugger it." And you're just going, wow, who did you miss?
Exactly. That breaks my heart. Like, honestly, I would rather you treat your mobile experience like submit your email address and we'll send you the application kind of thing than to lose. What percent is that? 80% of the people who come to your mobile apply leave.
But what if
that's really a lot of wasted effort.
Yeah, but you've got to think of it this way, Audra. Like, so with what I teach with the sourcing piece, I'm teaching like how to find people and get in contact with them. There's often a little link coming through that they're going to click. They're going to click it on their phone, because I suggest everyone message really early in the morning, or late after dinner time, and they like go, oh, click, I'm stuck. Can I just point out Michael's comment though? It's so funny. And you're talking about bounce rates, Michael Kotz. Kibben, my mobile doesn't bounce.
Okay,
I'm not falling for that trick again. Yes, they don't.
I see what Hung is talking about. So when we consider that candidate behavior, we actually use the Candy Award research. So the points that they evaluate as kind of their standard best in class, with a bit of research on our own. It's not linear. It appears linear, and I definitely just described it as a linear model, but we have no impression that this happens, then this happens, then this happens. I don't assume that, regardless of active, passive, whatever. I find that, but looking at every point is eye-opening for companies. They don't. Example, okay, how many people on this call have done an audit of all of your candidate touch points recently in the last 5 months? 3 months.
Maybe Ben should answer that. Ben's asking you questions.
Right? Yeah, I see that.
So what's the toughest bit of your gig? Toughest bit of my 3 years experience in EB is managing the expectations of what leadership think the culture employee experience is compared to what it is. And then he's written down here, GA is an amazing tool and I can't believe more teams don't use it. Tells
Google Analytics.
Content is selling and ultimately what your site is converting at.
Exactly.
I assume that GA is Google Analytics for those who aren't newbie.
And and to answer your question, Audra, I actually have a ton of dashboards, and I'd be happy to share them with people that are already custom built. You just have to turn them on, and you can get a custom EB dashboard just like that. And I did it because I'm a nerd, and I wanted to be able to just see my stuff. No, so you can build custom dashboards in Google and make them available to other people. It doesn't translate your data, just the infrastructure of your data.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm happy to share it. If anybody wants it, you can find me on Twitter. Just tweet at me and say, hey, I want this. I'll send it to you.
I definitely check that
But to answer Ben's question about the hardest part of my job, similar. So for us, we're walking into an organization and saying, okay, we're going to learn you better than you know you. People are kind of like, ooh, what are you going to find? There's a bit of anxiety, I think, on their part, and it changes the expectation. So if you're really anxious about you know, what the outcome's going to be. When the outcome comes, you're like, what is it? You know, they're like fear, I guess. But we're really lucky. And I know Jim can say something about this too, but like, we're really lucky to work with clients who understand that they can everything themselves. That a little bit of help means that you can be a better brand. You can be better to people, you know, like you can treat candidates like humans, even though you're a huge company, because you have people like Jim who can teach you about better sourcing. You have our incredible, and I swear, I'm not just saying this. Like, I genuinely believe we have some of the best recruiters because they actually care. They really care about these clients.
But I guess the other thing as well is if you're going into the companies and you're uncovering stuff, that is going to help them retain, not just have an employer brand, hopefully.
Right.
I mean, what
I always tell people.
Sorry. I was just saying what I was talking about last time, and last night, hence I was banning the millennial because it was Disrupt HR last night here in London, was about the Gen X, because you have got this problem that the boomers are going to retire and there are disgruntled Gen X because we've been overlooked so much just because of the time that we went through work more than anything else. So actually, if you can uncover that and help with that, that's, you know, it's a bigger thing than just, oh, this is how we look to future recruits. If the company, as you say, is open to the feedback you're going to give them.
Yeah. But like when I talk about employer branding, I think the other piece that is my anti-fluff is that I genuinely believe that employer branding infuses your pipeline. Good employer branding makes your, do you see these dogs?
I do.
Cat.
Right?
I've got to walk them in a minute, so they're going to go nuts at some point in about the next half an hour.
But really good employer branding gives you recommendations, ideas, philosophies to be able to infuse the entire pipeline so that when you have issues, you can roll it back to something. There's actually a point and solution instead of a problem and a guess.
And I bet if you're talking to that many people within the company too, it's going to help with employee engagement because they like that you care, that you're bothering to actually take their opinion, make changes.
If that's the management will make changes.
Right.
Well, and we do it completely confidentially as well.
The eye roll one.
So we let them speak confidentially. We don't record anything. And when we deliver the results, we actually put everyone's comments into one uniform element. So, and remove any company names, remove anything that somebody could kind of source their way back to them. So it creates a little bit of a comfort barrier for everyone to actually be able to share.
That's that thing with employee surveys. I was never honest on it because I didn't believe they weren't tracking it somehow. Whereas actually, if you're sitting one-to-one interview and it's not recorded, you can see the notes.
I'm the same way. At a few companies ago, I was working at a company that was very excited about being one of the best places to work. And I was like, this is one of the worst places I've ever worked. I wouldn't even fill out the survey because I knew they would find some way to come back and get me. Not touching it.
I mean, that's where I think that the Glassdoors, etc., have their day. We had this argument last week, so we won't go there again. But just in that respect of if it is a lot of reviews that say the same kind of common thread, you can't ignore it. If it's one, sure, someone's having a rant. But, you know.
Right.
Anyway, we won't go into that because we did that last week. We can just... I'll be in trouble again.
I just want to say one thing contradictory to what was discussed last week. I don't like CEO. I don't like this fluff. CEOs should respond to reviews on Glassdoor. Okay, so here's the strategy I like. You tell me what you think. So the best Glassdoor strategy I've ever heard came out of Citizens Bank. I cannot remember her name right now, but she's out of Boston.
Debbie Salato, she's awesome.
Yep, Debbie Salato. Look her up. So what she does is she has a functional team of managers across each department. And when a review comes in for a specific department, which all of them are assigned to a department, she has the manager read and work with her to respond. Why I think that's more valuable. So the manager can take a series of trends and go, okay, we have a problem on our team. Let me go back and fix this, or let me directly address this, because it's their responsibility to make the company better. It's not the CEO's responsibility to fix every little problem in a company.
No, sorry, that I agree with. When I've talked about CEOs before, it's of smaller companies. You're talking like national, talking about SMBs, because there's like thousands and thousands of SMBs we always overlook. Because everyone just goes, let's focus on these. It was like, well, actually, what about all the other companies where, that employ so many people? I mean, there I just think, but I agree. I mean, God, big company, it should be the head of that department. But I do like the fact she's guiding them and coaching them and helping them and like not.
They're a team. They sit down and talk about how they respond. They talk about trends they're noticing in this team and that team and the other team. Like they're really functional in taking that and doing something with it.
That's good.
Very cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
Like Glassdoor is like Yelp. Like it's a lot of outliers, but at the same time, like you have to give credit to trends, and only managers can tell you if a trend is real.
And let's not forget all of the other sites out there, by the way, where you can also write reviews.
There's 20 of them now. It's a bit crazy.
It is, but they aren't. It isn't just Glassdoor. Every week we just say Glassdoor, and we shouldn't.
Yeah, it's true. Although I have a random question: is Glassdoor a public company yet? Do you guys know?
That's a Jim question. Jim will know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Michael, how do you know you're not? Whoa. He doesn't know. I'm stunned you don't know. I thought you're the font of all knowledge.
He knows everything.
Michael, how do you know?
So Ben and I.
How do you know you're not asking the wolf to reply to the complaining lambs?
So I do think that the AB person or whoever is kind of managing that team of managers needs to be reading everything as well. I'm not saying that they're the only person who do it. This is me adding stuff to Debbie's actual idea, but you could probably include some of that in their feedback, in their reviews, because reviews shouldn't be one time a year where you dump all of your feelings on people and tell them how terrible they are, right? Maybe you could use Glassdoor reviews as pulse checks for your team, and that you as the kind of owner of that team can give those teams feedback. All right, you have a 75% positive rating. This is where we see some pain points. This is where we see some growth. That's information that I would take to the CEO.
I like the little happy things, like when you go through customs and you get to go where they're nice. I'd do that at the door.
What if hiring managers' bonuses had had to be affected by online reviews? That's interesting. It's probably crazy, but
something.
Yeah.
Something to just give a little context of the team that's not everybody trying to write 3 paragraphs of feedback and bullets about why this person is great and then giving them 3 points of weakness. And what happens, at least in my experience, is that you get to the reviews and some people it's really easy to write the good part and some people it's really easy to write the bad part, but it's not always easy to hit 5 bullets on each. You start to stretch a little.
Yeah.
And that makes it useless to me.
Why don't we ever do?
If you're stretching, don't say it.
How come we never do performance reviews, but of your manager? Wouldn't that be useful information to people higher up instead of just
companies will do that?
Yeah,
it's scary though. That's what's it called? 360. But I always go back to remembering what I was like, and I mean, Hung knows what I was like back in my spring days. But also, I'm strong and I'm loud and I'm opinionated. But also, I was so defensive because of my childhood and what I'd been through on a personal level. So someone gave me feedback, I would end up either sobbing or freaking angry. It was like there was nothing in between. I think actually receiving feedback is tough as well. And I do think a lot of us take our stuff to work, whether we mean to or not. And I was talking to a couple of HR ladies about this last night. It's like, I would hate to be in that situation where I'm having to give that back. I would just fail. So
yeah. I love Jim's comment. When were you not?
Again?
No,
I didn't hear you. Sorry.
That's the thing. We have to bring ourselves to work. It's 40 hours a week out of, not that many hours that you're awake. Most of them are spent at work. You have to bring yourself. Good, better, ugly. It's just, that's the reality.
Actually, okay, I'm going to answer you. When was I not opinionated? No, I'm still opinionated, but I can now hear I can now hear an alternative fact and go, okay, it might annoy me, but I will probably just be more likely to let it wash. I don't get so incredibly defensive. So I know I'm being very personal here, but I'm just saying, like, I'm just one person who couldn't handle it. I just think there are tons and tons of people out there who can't. And that must kind of come into that thing when you're doing all that reporting and you're having to go to managers and say, hey, you know, we have a problem with your department. I can't create a brand for you because you've got a fundamental problem.
And you know,
No, you go first. I'm just going to change the topic a bit.
Well, I was going to say, I just clicked on Hung's link, and I'm curious, Hung, why you're doing this rating scale. So I like open text fields on feedback. Okay, it's not giving feedback up. I really like open text fields because when you give somebody a number system, 9 times out of 10, they're going to fall in the middle.
Yeah.
And that's not helpful. You're going to have tops and bottom. Like, you're going to have your high end, you're going to have low end, but 9 times out of 10, those on a team of more than 10, it'll hit the middle.
Second page.
But Michael, why even spend the time on the
This is Google Managers feedback survey. This is actual Google's.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, so I only had one speaker feedback from Tuesday, and it was a 4 out of 5. And I was like, what did I do wrong? And I'm like,
that's actually good.
That's like good. And I'm like, what did I do wrong? There's no, you know, like, okay, you know, it didn't resonate with me or something, like just something. No, really funny. I'm so focused on what I lost for that mark. Yeah, I agree. Completely.
I'm the same way. I'm like, 4.5.
Yeah.
4 out of 5.
Totally.
It is subjective, but yeah.
And then they try to give you that shit like, well, no one's perfect. I'm like,
no, I'm going to.
I tried really hard.
Were they upset that I swore? Was that it? That one mark was the swearing, and I'd be like, yeah.
It could have been just.
We were actually almost late to this call because we were talking about swearing on speaking.
I missed that back on Blab when it used to be the pre-live, didn't we? We used to have everyone could see all the crap going on while we were not getting people on and swearing our heads up, and then we go all formal.
People actually like the pre-show before the show.
Yeah, I missed the pre-show. Hey, it is the Clayton.
Animals giving a shit for not saying
there you go.
There you go.
I want to address this hypocrisy that you have in the US though. So every time I come over and speak, I'm not allowed to say fuck on stage, but you guys off stage F-bomb all over the place. It's like, I'm sorry, I object.
But that's not us. That's the organization in some cases saying that they don't want it and you want to get hired again, don't you?
It's so hard not to though. As an Australian, it's so hard.
Well, I think it depends too. Like, I spoke at a SHRM event and my feedback explicitly cited my swears. Where at like HireConf yesterday, I feel like they kind of like giggled along and they're like, okay, she's real.
Don't mention
she gets the audience.
We're banning talking about that because of Audra.
But
you got a shout out though. I saw your slide. That was cool.
It was awesome. It was amazing. It made my whole day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. We tried. We tried to live up to the Audra level of excellence.
You only got a 4.75.
Don't know if we achieved, but we tried.
It was so sweet. Thank you. But I have a question going back to like sort of more negative. What do you do if a company is actually laying off in certain departments? And then how do you sort of keep up employer brand? Or do you just be really honest and say, like, right now we're having a tough, I mean, what do you do in that case?
Yeah. So I typically, actually, our clients will put a pause on our employer branding work.
Yeah.
It's not the right time. And a lot of our recommendations inevitably end up in the recruitment marketing area. And so we don't want to make a huge investment in recruitment marketing when the news is saying, hey, we just laid off 600 people. Yeah. Like, that's a very contradictory story and one that we don't want to have to battle.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's business reasons for letting people go and still hiring at the same time, but you don't want to put a ton of investment in that time. It's just typically we just put a complete pause on anything. Wow. No interview. Like, if we could be in the middle of our process and we will just hit the brakes and stop.
And pick it up when things are
Yep.
And you said you would still invest in recruitment marketing, though?
No,
nothing.
You pause your recruitment marketing spend until the news.
Yeah.
You just pausing all your ads.
Yeah.
You wouldn't look for the stories where you could write about the people who you were able to move. Like last night, I met someone. I'm head of people. I've got 3 months experience, and he's come from the business and literally knows nothing about HR. But he got moved within his company. So you wouldn't tell those stories, but at least.
But then where are people going to trash them?
No, doesn't help. Okay.
It might.
No, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I haven't taken that approach, so I can't tell you one way or another. I think we try to be very considerate of the brand as well. So employer brand, isn't this little like bubble that sits inside HR. Like you impact marketing, you impact corporate communications. Like there are a lot of people who you interact with if you're running a truly functional employer branding group. Com will tell you, be quiet when everyone else, when the news is being loud in a negative way, you need to be quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I hear what you're saying.
Because people who lost their job, they don't give a shit why you need to hire software engineers still, or why you want to tell people your story. They lost their jobs, and they're going to be even louder if they see that you're being loud.
Yeah. Interesting. I like it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like politics, right? Like when something's really terrible, you need to yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Maybe all employment branding teams should have like a copywriter, a video person, a PR person, perfect world.
I know. But yeah.
Then you got to wonder why your president's getting so much coverage then. Anyway, changing subject. I just got to get it in every show while I can. I shouldn't. I'm right in the middle of getting global entry, so I should shut up until I've had my interview and I'm in. I've got one stage left, which involves just showing my passport. Then I should keep flagging.
Oh, I have that too, a global traveler.
Yeah, so I've been cleared by the Brit side, cleared by the US side, and now all I've got to do is turn up. I can't do it this next one because I'm about to be in Dallas. I'm doing it when I'm in Minnesota. Yeah.
It's an
cruise through like an American. Well, having stood in Dallas for an hour and a half because they sent me to the wrong queue, and I'm just standing there going, I shouldn't be in this queue, and I couldn't get to the other one. They wouldn't.
Newark is the worst customs that I've ever been through. Like I have never seen that many people in one place. Like it, but I already had global traveler, so I walked through. Was like,
see ya, sucker. I can imagine you saying that as you walk by.
Yeah. That'll be me. I'll be going, bye. Well, the thing is with an SD, you got to go to that quite short queue anyway. But it was like, honestly. But then my most hilarious, we're completely off topic, but it's kind of a bit in the way about marketing of the US, going into Dallas. And the guy's giving me crap because I'd just been in San Francisco. And I'm going, like, it's a 10-hour flight. Like, but obviously, if you haven't left Texas, you don't kind of get that people do travel this easily in and out of the US. But anyway, back to the subject in hand.
People ask questions. I'm willing to answer anything from candidate experience to EB, whatever. Yesterday, I led a panel on hiring managers making employer branding videos that don't suck.
Yeah, let's
Audra has great content on that too.
So I was actually really excited because on Tuesday, I was just talking to the guy from Job Video. I love that. It's a little bit like what Abby's doing. And I'm saying to him, I literally will jump up and down like this, like on the ground, sit down, plait my hair, whoosh, and I deliver up here to get the energy out like this. And he went and did a video after I said that. It was so cute.
Yeah, that was nice.
I was so excited. Sorry, that was all about me.
I'd love to chat about job descriptions more. Like what you think are some best practices.
What's your top tip for hiring manager videos? Then can we
especially coming from being a
I want to hear Audra's first.
Well, no, I mean,
let's start with a video and then we'll definitely get to
we'll do a job description video and you can do both in one go.
There you go.
So some of our tips, and Audra, please interrupt me, for making videos that don't suck is not to do anchorman style videos. So someone staring dead into the camera and kind of creeping you out, right? Like, I really like everything here. Right? Or the second one where you can tell they're reading a transcription of some sort or trying to remember what the HR lady said. My favorite is when you can tell the person remembered halfway through and they're like, you can see the excitement kind of boil.
Yeah. That's terrible.
Or,
oh my God, I hadn't thought of that.
And you're like, I have watched movies that were shorter than this. And filming horizontally. I think that was the big one that Abby from Skill Scout was sharing, was that when you film horizontally, it feels more like better quality than when you film this way.
Yeah, that's because of Snapchat and Instagram stories, isn't it? We've all got used to that way, but yeah, that way. You can do so much more with it, can't you? As well. Yeah. And I like the handshake and I like the rawness and the, like, we've just done this on the fly, that kind of the realness. Yeah. And I think that gets around that, oh, I've remembered.
I want to say one thing about videos. I cannot stand any high fives in any employment brand videos.
Or
that or high five, team high fives. No, they need to be banned.
Can we ban the word awesome while we're there?
Just throwing that out.
We need to do that show where that goes into the bin. I can't think what the show's called. Stephen, answer me. What's the show called? There's a show here where you get to vote something into the bin.
Another thing,
and so Animal.
Whoa, Tim Sackett, according to Recruiting Animal, says you should use vulgarity and swearing in job ads for certain target markets.
Maybe for certain. I don't know which, but hey.
You're not fucking bugging code, okay? No, I can't see them liking that.
I mean,
I can't see a space where that would be, unless you're like hiring a comic. And I have never seen a job ad for a comic. So
yeah, there you go, comic.
I will. You're right, Recruiting Animal.
Stretching a little for that one.
It wasn't what you said. Room 101. Yes, thank you, Ian. Oh God, I was going nuts.
Even trucker, like people when they're looking for a job, I think they have a certain expectation that they need to keep it classy. And I would expect the company to kind of meet that expectation. Like, I'm not saying job ads shouldn't have voice, obviously. I'm not, but I think you have to set expectations for what your company is like. So to answer your question, Audra, so when it comes to job descriptions, we always have kind of a standard EVP. So the format, and this is kind of generic, but obviously we adapt it per client. So the first paragraph is an EVP that tells a person what's in it for them. So this is a general value proposition
for all of them, and it's on the top. So how do you do the top instead of the bottom? Because we have them on the top.
Attention spans are so short. No one is going to read through all that bullshit to get to the bit that's about them.
That's what I'm wondering. If you stick it at the bottom.
No way. You're going to come in, Audra, and you're going to work on this project, and you're going to make this contribution, and we're going to help you this way. And it's you, right at the top, smack at the top. Nobody gives a shit.
But that's job specific. So for the generic part, you agree with me. It should maybe be at the bottom.
Yeah, if you're even going to go that far.
So the reason I put it at the top is because, I put it at the top because I want people to connect with the company mission before they connect with the role. I want you to say, that sounds like somewhere I want to be, before you go, that's the kind of work I want to do.
But what if they don't read it? Are they going to read it?
I think people read the first paragraph.
Okay, hang on. So I got that around the wrong way. Sorry, I thought you were saying the job description was at the top, but you're not.
No, I'm saying the EVP is right smack at the top.
The generic, like the same for every. Yeah, that's how we have it. I don't read those at all. When
I skip straight past it because I
go to what required skills. What do I need?
You should see my EVPs. They're very.
That could be they're very good. Yeah, maybe a really good one.
Well, I am.
But are they really good or are they non-genuine fluff?
Hers are good, I'm sure.
I think I'm biased. I know I am, but I try to connect with the person. Yeah. So I know what the brand needs, right? I know kind of what their pillars are. And so I kind of put myself in those shoes. Example, their pillars are ambition, future focus, and I'm making this up, and purpose. And so when I talk to them, I'm going to say, like, we are looking for people who are inspired by purpose and impact. We want people who, The right person, though, Casey, is going to connect with that.
That's true. So maybe you're not.
I get what you're saying, but it's like we're looking for this, whereas actually you're trying to. I guess I'm always doing the highly sought after talent. You know, bombarded by recruiter messaging, who just they do want to know what's in it for them enough to hook them in to then read the next bit. If you put your bit a bit further down, I'll probably be okay. But you're also writing it on the we, and I'm all about the you. So no, yeah. I'm not a marketer, so.
It depends. It depends on the company. They vary drastically from company to company, but we do put it first because psychologically, and this is my philosophy, right or wrong, is that I want you to connect with the company, and then I want you to see where you go, where you fit. Not because so many times we go, okay, you fit. Like somebody says, okay, I can do the job, but that's not all that it takes to be successful at a company. It's just not. And whenever people are like, well, they just have to have the skills. I'm like, okay, clearly you've never done hiring. Ever. Because you have to have the skills and be able to work with people, be able to have a conversation and not be completely offensive to other people's like sensitivities, I guess. I don't know. You know, there's sense, I guess. That's just how I think
right
about
under the first bit that hooks them to get them to read that bit. I'm not saying it shouldn't be there. I just don't think it should be.
Do you guys have thoughts on performance-based job ads? That's like Lou Adler's thing.
Say that again.
So a lot of clients, performance-based job ads.
Ooh, you have to ask. That's a
few clients. A lot of my clients have been asking about it lately. Trying to understand kind of what it is, how it translates, because right now they're writing requirements. It's not about the people. And I'm just curious, do you guys have any thoughts about them or anything?
So you would say, like, instead of saying you need to have a degree, you would say you need to have sold this many XYZs or?
Exactly.
Interesting.
It's really specific. And it's basically outlining what you need to accomplish in the first year to be successful in this role.
What you will accomplish.
And Ben, I can totally show you some examples of this because I've actually been doing it. So for example, instead of saying like must be able to climb ladders and blah 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 for like a very functional role, you can say things like afraid of heights. Need not apply. Will expect. Blah, 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 blah. And so when they walk in, they go, okay, this is what I have to do to be successful. Versus I check the boxes. Okay, I'm here.
Because it's quite interesting because you say climb a ladder. I'm like, sorry, it just started chucking it down the rain. It just the noise got me. I'm surprised you can't hear it with my headset not working. But the thing, like, I think climb a ladder, oh yeah, I can do that. But when you actually said afraid of heights, but yeah, that would so stop me climbing a ladder because I hadn't. Yeah, you're right, absolutely. I'm loving Michael's comment down here. Old salty dog, but I do like performance-based interviewing. Ben, haven't read about them. Recruiting.
I like the idea of telling them about projects that
you break shit and asking for everything for nothing. Oh yeah.
I like the idea of kind of giving them an idea of things they may be working on. But then what if things change? That's the only downside. If you say you're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then all directions change, I guess it doesn't matter. If it's just an advert and not a HR document.
I don't think you should be posting jobs that you don't know what they're going to be doing for the first 6 months.
But things change. Like, what if all of a sudden, there's layoffs and you need to move them?
But generally,
what your job description says, Audra?
Say that again.
Are you doing what your job description says from when you signed up and joined the company?
Yeah.
Really? It hasn't changed? You haven't added shit, taken away shit? Like, really? You do what needs to be done. Like, it's a guideline, even if it's a HR document. It's not a...
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be, but pot needs filling. Oh, I'm not doing that. It's not my job description.
Ew, I hate people like that.
Aren't they?
They're the worst.
To put it in your context, Casey, if you were working as a recruiting partner with someone, right? When you talk to that hiring manager, you're trying to establish what does this person's day-to-day look like? What's going to be happening? And that's the information that we're using in this job description. We're not saying like, this is the end all be all, but it's saying like, let's start here. Can you do this? And then we'll figure out the rest.
That's why, is he still there or is he gone? Oh, I think he's disappeared. I go and give him a shout out. He's not there. But like, that's why I like Workshape, which Hung's done for the developers. So that you're going to come in, this is what you're going to do, and it looks like this shape rather than, okay, you need to do, so I have 3 years of Java or whatever rubbish. Oops, sorry.
Exactly.
Breaking things on my desk now. It's all happening here. I'm sorry, I'm really quiet from last night.
You and me both. I'm actually really excited that I still have a voice after yesterday because I hosted I hosted a panel, did a session, and was talking constantly.
Yeah, right.
Because I never shut up.
When did you fly back? This morning or last night?
Last night.
Late last night. Yeah.
Yeah, I was shattered. So I did 40-minute-ish talk and then did a panel. And then people were talking to me, asking me questions. I was looking at them. I don't know what I'm talking about. Because it's exhausting, isn't it? When you're on, and then you come off stage and everyone hits you and you're like, I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, and then you have to go back.
Oh,
like,
okay,
exactly. I can do this. One more round.
Can be done.
Yeah.
Ben's bringing up a good question. What about salary? Do you think anyone should add salary ranges, or how do you feel about that to job descriptions?
I don't, and it might be different in the UK, so feel free to correct me, but salary is usually a range and it's negotiable. So I'm not going to put something on, I will never put something on a job description that I believe will make people self-select out when I have the power to change it. That's why you only use the mandatory requirements. That's why you are very specific and you offer actionable items, because nothing I put in a job description is negotiable.
Okay, but
well, it is. You could say you want 5 years of Java, but you really only need someone that's good at it. They could be good.
I wouldn't put 5.
Yeah. But what if you do want people to deselect themselves out? Like, what if you're a big, stuffy, old, slow-moving company, like you were mentioning before? You don't really want to appeal to entrepreneurial thinking people, do you? So
you should have a boring, old, stuffy job description, right?
Yeah,
but they do it.
Yeah.
There's no big company right now that wants to stay exactly like they are.
Say that again.
There aren't a lot of big companies right now that want to stay exactly where they are. Right now, we sit in a tipping point for companies, for technology, for innovation. Like, we just went through a wave, and I think we're in a bit of a lull. We're approaching very quickly another tipping point. I don't know what that is. If I did, I would be making money on it right now. But I genuinely believe there's going to be a major shift. And something actually was mentioned yesterday that reinforces that belief is that Johnny Campbell was talking about kind of the technology of the future. And I said, we are not implementing the technology of the future until everyone in HR can plug a USB port in and not freak out that their mouse isn't going to work. Like, you have to be more technical than ever in the future state of HR and recruiting. And so until that happens, until our industry starts to shift to have more of a technology first mindset, we're not moving. We can talk about AI all you want. We are not going anywhere until we hit that tipping point of talent.
I mean, we have this again. We have this all the time, don't we? Going back to the sourcing side, but there's all these tools already, and all anyone's doing is spamming. All they want to know is how to get the emails so they can spam. It's like, you're absolutely right. But on that USB, one good thing about the new Mac with the USB-C, but seriously, there must be an easier way to know which way to plug them in. Every time I'm upside down, every time.
I mean, I've worked with people who are like, I can't use Google Drive. And I'm like, it's literally Microsoft Word on the internet.
Yeah.
Come on. Exactly, Jim. It's like, did you try turning it on and turning it off and turning it back on?
That's what I will be doing with
unplug
the MacBook after this, to hope that my brand spanking MacBook earpiece works. I'm feeling irritated with Mac right now. Anyway, it's been a good 24 hours for me in technology. So Michael's written here, what if I can't pay more than $150,000? Well, I'm moving to the US. And I don't want to hear from people that can't earn less than $200,000.
Yeah, how do you screen them out?
I think job ads need to be very unattractive also.
Yeah, how would you screen someone out like that?
I actually really like the use of chatbots for that. Instead of putting it into your job ad, when someone clicks apply, push them to a chatbot that has 3 pre-qual questions. They answer the questions. They're all yes or no questions. Would you accept a salary of $150,000? No. Okay, you're out.
Yeah.
And that's really simple to set up. So many people talk about chatbots in the context of like, I put it on my site and I chat with candidates live. And I'm like, no, use it in your funnel to decrease how many people you pour in, because your success rates will look so badass when you're like, oh, I screened 300 people out last night and while I was sleeping. Like,
but you don't need a chatbot for that, do you?
Sorry?
You don't really need, can't you just use the screening forms in your ATS? Do you really need a chatbot for that?
If you want, I think a chatbot feels more personal. It feels like a pre-screen. Clicking buttons in an ATS doesn't feel like a pre-screen. Feels like an application.
I think that also needs to be the opt around, because I always talk about my sister who has 20 years of event management experience and couldn't get a job because she didn't have a degree until I taught her how to hack around the system. But, you know, you kind of go like, come on, there needs to be a bit of intelligence goes on as well. Yeah, that's just me having a little rant about that again. Michael, just reminding us that most of his intelligence is already artificial. Oh, Mr. Cox. I just want to invite him on as well. Bless.
Hey, Katrina, can we touch on career sites? One, obviously, like what makes them great, but also, do they even matter that much now that people are just coming in from Indeed and Google and all these other places right to the job page?
So I think they matter right now. I don't know what their long-term relevance is, because they are the source of truth, I think, for many candidates. Maybe for the rest of us, we're like, oh, well, I'll look here and here and here. But the average candidate, this is, again, my guess. The stats don't actually confirm this, but this is my gut feeling, is that the career website is the source of truth. Like, they don't believe it. We've taught people not to believe what they see on job. Name the 300 job boards that I literally looked at last week. Like, you know, like I didn't even know half of them existed. So I think because they are the source of truth, they are absolutely critical. A few things that make them good: pictures that look real. And when I say that, I mean, like, people need to look a little messy. Their hair needs to be a little screwed up. I shouldn't find a very similar photo on a stock site. Yeah. I've had a lot of clients actually who are like, but that's my picture. And I'm like, yeah, I still could probably Google and find 3 more just like it.
I had that actually. She's been on the show, Sarah Duxbury, when she was at Fletcher's. They basically got their pretty people in their photos. And I just went, no.
Or those We Are the World type photos where you're like, one black guy, one lesbian.
But I love it's so America though. Like, you open and you get every shade of skin, and it's just I'm sure your company is not really like that. Like, please.
But you'd also feel like give them crap if they were all white people or all the same too. So
that's why I love employer generated content. I just love that whole have a hashtag, just share your shit, just be real. Because it's not
that simple to just have a hashtag and say go use it, people. It takes work or a vendor time.
They need bribery. CA Technologies do bribery really well.
They have a vendor, Katrina.
Huh?
They use a vendor for their employees.
They send
that's good.
Cards. They send out
pre-screened employee-generated content is a fantastic thing to have on your site.
You don't put it all.
It's better than the photos to me. Having someone talk about their job, like. If you want to see some good examples, I think Skill Scout does a really great job with their videos.
They're good.
They also offer like a DIY element. Cool. So basically they send you a kit and you go film it. You empower people. Because really that's the thing. A lot of people ask me about, like, how do I make employees activate? Like, what do I do to make them go do things? And I'm like, ego. But it's all about psychology. Absolutely. Make them famous and they will share the shit out of it. And if they're highly technical and have like a really unique niche, I would bet you $100 they know 10 more people that do what they do.
Yeah.
Who'd they learn from?
Yeah. I think it's just keep it real. Yeah, just want it real. That wasn't me. I'm very conscious I don't have a headset and something vibrated. I'm like, oh God.
Well, and I think the other thing, Audra, is a lot of career websites miss the call to action element.
Yeah.
You need an option for people who maybe aren't ready to apply or don't see the exact job they want to be able to submit their name at least.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go down this whole like, you need a talent community, and because most people don't have the bandwidth to manage a talent community, and there's no point in having a black hole talent community and a black hole ATS.
Yeah.
They're not, while they love each other, we don't need to keep them together. So, it's very much like if you'd like to stay in touch and I can send you jobs, it has to be functional and helpful to them.
Yeah.
So you're just saying it would automatically send them jobs? Because otherwise, what am I going to do with someone's email address and name if I don't?
So
you have to manage it.
You have a few options. Number one, you could do it as like a piece by piece. So they submit their email address and you send, hey, when you have time, can you give us a few more details about you so that when we have a good role for you? So basically giving them another path to submit their
I love the idea. Just who's going to have the time to keep an eye on all those people? And
it's not about that. It's about getting them into your ATS so that you can source from it.
Yeah.
Source thy people first.
Mm-hmm. The problem is so many ATSs have terrible sourcing functionality.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know.
Bad. It's a bit like
the only decent search I've seen is Janet Dwyer's. She and her husband have built some incredible search, but I have no idea how it actually integrates. Like if you could just like plop it on top of your ATS.
Awesome.
Someone has a guest.
That we have 4 minutes left and off goes the bell. And round one. I take it that was one of your doorbells. Was that your doorbell or is that Avon calling? Oh my God.
It's not mine.
Tim, you have just shown your age with that one statement.
Yeah, right.
To the kiddies today, even know what Avon calling is. Oh my God. I'm so glad. I do know. So we are running out of time. Seriously, 3 minutes. Oh my God. Next week we've got Blake McCammon on, and actually it's funny that Jim has just done that because we're going to have a little bit of a Gen X millennial off. I can't wait.
Ooh, he's on the younger side, right?
He better be on my side if he knows what's good for him. But no, just because it goes on about what I was talking last night about the whole, we're forgetting a whole section of people. Hello.
Hey.
The cutest guest has just arrived.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Why? It's awesome. That's what I love. We all work from home. I've gone into the dark. The sun has now come out, which is awesome timing for my dog walk.
I was going to say, how many times have you seen my dog?
Yeah, I can watch your dogs more than you. It's quite worrying. Sorry.
They're very cute.
Anyway, can we have a show about men getting anyway. Right, on that note, thank you so much for joining us again.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
That was fun. Thank you so much.
One of these days we're going to meet in person. That'll be a shock. Right.
I know. I can't wait. I don't know if the world can handle it, but we're going to make it happen.
Yeah. Katrina's done enough damage in once in our lifetime. Thank you, everyone, for joining, including Audra Sandwich. Bye, guys, and we shall see you next week. Bye. Bye.